And oh, this is just another pond saga. It's gonna fail, not enough research, you don't know what you're doing. They're right. I don't know what I'm doing. Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. We are back on the road project that's gonna wrap around our firewood building here and around our wood yard. We've got the excavator warming up. And if you caught the last video, you know that we got a triaxle dump truck buried in this road project. And today we're gonna start working on getting that all cleaned back up, whipped back into shape, and hopefully starting to work on finishing this road. So in the last video, I didn't really get a chance to show you the damage that the triaxles did trying to get themselves out of here, because we got a bunch of snow and it was all covered in snow and you couldn't really tell. But you can see, you know, I had this all looking pretty decent. We had driveway fabric down, then we had some clay fill material, and then we brought in some number 3 rock. And when they came in here, the triaxle load, I wanted them to just dump right down there because I knew he could have just backed right down in, dumped, and then pulled right back out. He tried to get the stone over there where I needed it more. But I mean, I could have moved it with the tractor and saved a whole lot of hassle, but it is what it is at this point. But yeah, we've got some serious ruts. All my layers are mushed together, which is not the end of the world. I think I'll be able to come in here with the Mongo tilt bucket, smooth all of this back out, get it all flat and everything, and then we can go ahead and start spreading limestone on top of here. But right now we've got these giant puddles in the road. I want to try to drain some of the water out of these puddles. That way, when we do start working this, we're not just mashing that water into the road. We want to get that out of here so this can start to dry out. Before we start draining the water from the road, we've got to stop the water from coming in. You can see behind the pond, we've got a swale that all of that water that doesn't go into the pond comes around the backside, works its way down here. That water was going out and around the road before we had a triaxle load, put some ruts in here that is now bringing that water into the road. You can see all those ruts and everything are now bringing that water into the road, which is why there's all that standing water in there. So I got the tilt bucket on. We're gonna go ahead and just dig a small little swale, keep that water going out around the road, then we'll drain the puddles, then start smoothing it out. There we go. Now that water that's coming down out of here is running along the outside of the road. If you can see, there is actual flowing, moving water, and it's now going down around the outside of the road instead of coming into the road. So now we should be good. So we stop the water coming in, we should be good to come in here and start draining these puddles out. All right, so I've got a little submersible utility pump. Call me crazy, but this is what I'm doing. Now, I also said I was gonna wait until this dried out to come in here and work this, but right now, not having this road here is preventing me from doing firewood because I can't get my dump trailer in up underneath the barrel screener. And honestly, if I waited until spring, or if I waited until this was dried out, I might not be able to make firewood until spring, which is just not an option. So, got to get this road dried out and get it done, get it in here and start being able to use it. Well, this is working better than I thought it was going to. I don't know if you can see how far that's shooting out here. It's got some good water pressure here. So because I did put all of this number 3 rock in here, I can actually see the water that is still up in this gravel up here floating back in and filling this hole back up. So this is almost kind of like a sump pump hole here. I'll just let this fill back up, keep draining it down until we get the majority of the water out of here. All right, so we got our puddles all drained out as best we could with that sub pump, at least the minimum depth that it will suction out, which is going to help us. Let's go ahead and start getting this road shaped back up, filling in these ruts. And then we can top dress with limestone. Now another reason that that dump truck got stuck that I forgot to mention in the last video was, you can see he got his entire, what would it be, his right side off of the road, where there was no rock, no fabric, no clay, just all topsoil. So, I mean, I definitely know that the road was soft underneath with that clay, but I do think, you know, he got stuck right when he got off of the road. I don't know if he would have got stuck regardless, but getting into that wet topsoil certainly didn't help his cause at all. Now this is just the base layer. This doesn't need to be perfectly smooth and flat. That's what we're going to do with the limestone. I just want to get this close. That way whenever I do go and try to top dress and I'm smoothing out with a land plane, I don't get into some thin spots of limestone and start getting into this where it's thicker or thinner. So the closer I can get this, the better the overall job will be. All right, base all smoothed back out. I know I said I was going to start putting limestone on this, but I am going to let it sit for at least a couple of hours, let it dry out. It is supposed to get up to like 45 degrees today, 50 degrees tomorrow. It's sunny out, it's windy. This should dry out fairly quickly, although we do have rain coming the day after that. So I want to get this top dressed before that next bout of rain comes through. But as of right now, we've got no more water coming on it because all the water is running in this little ditch out around the road. So any water that's in here is all the more that's going to be in here. It should start to dry out, and then we'll start getting some limestone on. One thing I don't have to worry about keeping dry is my feet, and that is thanks to today's sponsor, Camel City Mills Work Socks. And right now they are running their biggest sale of the year for Black Friday, 40% off. If you've been wanting to try these socks, now is the time to buy. You're not going to find them any cheaper than you are right now. These socks are made with Ironside merino wool, designed to keep your feet warm and dry in the wintertime and cool and dry in the summertime. They're made right here in America, down in the great state of North Carolina. And the biggest part that I don't think gets talked about enough, they come with a 10-year warranty. I used to get a big bulk bag of cotton socks every year for Christmas. And what happens is after about 6 months, you start finding socks with holes in the heel or in the toe. And every time I do laundry, I'm throwing out 2 to 3 socks, and then you've got pieces that don't have a mate, and it's just really frustrating. You're constantly throwing away socks, constantly buying new socks, because cotton socks just don't last. And with Camel City Mills Work Socks, with that 10-year warranty, you're not going to have to worry about replacing socks all the time. Now, are they more expensive? Absolutely, they are. But when you compare it to the fact that you have to buy 10 times as many of these to equal 1 pair of these, in the end, these end up being cheaper. And especially if you buy them right now when they are the cheapest that they will be all year long during their Black Friday sale. Click the link in the description below to get 40% off our favorite pair of work socks. While we're waiting for it to dry out, we might as well go ahead and kill some time, make a little bit of firewood. I mentioned earlier that I can't make firewood right now. I can, it's just not my ideal way of doing it. Normally I like to have the dump trailer in here, have the barrel screener go into the dump trailer, and then I stack all my wood out of the dump trailer. And like I said, with it being as wet as it is right now, I can't get the dump trailer up here without tearing everything up and making a mess. So I've got it going into this IBC tote that is raised up off the ground a little bit with some blocking. And then I'm stacking into this one with the mini skid. You can see I've made a couple of baskets over the last day or two sitting over there. Might as well go ahead and load up the live deck, kill some time, make some wood while we're waiting for things to dry out. All right, so this is gonna be the first log deck that I am videoing out of the Scrag load poles. If you guys remember, we bought 2 different loads of firewood poles. One was firewood poles, the other was Scrag poles. The firewood poles are smaller diameter. The first load of firewood poles was all like 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch stuff. All of this stuff here looks to be about 11-inch, 12-inch, 12-inch, 10, 12, 14 inches there. So this log deck has significantly more wood on it than a log deck from the previous load, because there's going to be a lot more splits that come through this. I should be able to make the wood faster, because every push I'm going to be getting, you know, 10, 12, 14, 16 pieces of wood out of this wedge here versus 2, 4, or 6. And I can already tell you, I've already run one load through here. It's a lot more fun to run. You make a lot of wood hurry. You actually do start to get backed up here a little bit, which I've noticed. And the barrel screener will get backed up as well, because you're just making wood so fast. All right, we got a couple more baskets of wood made. Really good looking stuff. Let's go check and see how the road is coming along with drying out. All right, so everything is looking really good except for the couple of spots where the ruts were that still had water in them. Like, all this feels pretty solid underneath my feet, but you can see one of his front tires was right here. It's still wet. We're pushing water up from the bottom, and as I step on it, you can see it squishing in between. So I still want to let this dry out a little bit more, and this spot right here, this is where his back tire was. This right here is really still wet. So I want that to dry out. It's got rock in it. It's actually clay and rock, which is what I was originally going for with clay and shale. So I think that'll firm up as soon as it dries out. But I guess what we can do in the meantime is start working on fixing up this section of the road that kind of got tore up a little bit when they were trying to get the other truck out. So they had one truck sitting here trying to pull him backwards this way, and they were sitting here spinning, chewing this all up. So we can go ahead and get this whole section of the road shaped up. And the other dump truck load that I had delivered on that same day is sitting over there, so we can go ahead and get all of that spread out. I just put down enough on here to hold the tarp down. It wasn't a finish coat. There's only probably an inch or two on top of this fabric right here, so I can go ahead and use that pile to lay it down a little bit thicker. I've got 2 more loads coming in the morning, and I can tell you one thing, I'm not going to be having him pull anywhere near that area down there. Now the material that we're using to top dress is a 2A limestone or crusher run, which is 1.5 inch material down to limestone dust, which helps lock everything together. But this stuff has a lot more fines in it than what I'm used to, and it's wet, which is causing it to clump. Normally I'm used to it rolling right out of the bucket, but you can see it's falling out in clumps and making it more difficult to spread, so we just got to come in and smooth it back out with a land plane when we're done. All right, 2 more loads of stone in. Nobody got stuck, in and out in 5 minutes. Kept the trucks up on the good dry road that I put in last year. Man, looking at this, so it's the next morning and the ground froze last night. It got down to like 24 degrees. And so when the ground freezes, that frost just kind of heaves up out of the ground. And now it's back up to 50 degrees again today. And so you can see it's all melted, and you can see where there's still water. It's actually nice that that happened because it showed me where the water still is. But yeah, right here, man, I really just want to let this dry out some more before I cover it with the limestone, because I don't want to trap that moisture in there and just have it last that much longer and stay soft. I think the less material I have on top of there, the quicker it's going to dry out. But we got rain coming tomorrow, so I'm going to let this go as long as I possibly can before I cover it up. So I'm going to start by taking some of this material here and getting this area covered. I'm just doing a light coating on this section here, just so I can drive up here occasionally. This is not going to see a lot of traffic up here. It's just so I can get the dump trailer in and out if I need to, and the equipment in and out, but the road is going to see the majority of the traffic coming in and around the building here. So we got this whole area covered. Again, very thin. I think if there was an award out there for how far you could stretch a load of stone, I think I might have won it with this. I think I put more salt and pepper on my steak than what I've got here. But again, this is just to get me out of the mud when I occasionally need to come up here and empty the dump hopper with the tractor, or pull a basket of wood out with the mini skidder or the tractor or something like that, or back the dump trailer in. The ground underneath here is very solid and firm. It is a good clay shale mixture. And so I just needed something to keep that top layer from getting slick and give me some bite with tires or tracks whenever I come up through here. So, and the other thing is I can always come back in and add more too. I just wanted to use up 1 load of stone doing this section here, and I wanted to make sure I saved at least 1 full load of stone to finish this section of the driveway. I used the Mongo tilt bucket to pull all of the stone that had spilled into the yard over here back up onto the road. Worked perfect for that, trying to save as much material as I could. You can see I got a decent scrape there without getting any topsoil. Brought all this material back up onto the road. And yeah, I think it's let's see, it is 2:30 right now, and they're calling for rain tomorrow. So I think we're running out of daylight. It is time to either put the stone down or let it get covered in rain again. So I think we're gonna go ahead and start spreading the stone, even though I'd really rather wait. But I think if I get that stone on there, and then I just make sure to not drive anything heavy on it, you know, as far as a dump truck or a log truck or something like that, I think it'll be all right. We'll just try to make sure it's not seeing a lot of traffic and usage until it gets a chance to dry out and set up. We got those 2 loads of stone spread, and what a difference it makes in dry material versus wet material. Those 2 loads were much drier and they rolled right out of the bucket instead of clumping like the first 2 loads did. A lot easier to work with, get it to roll out of the bucket and spread a lot more evenly than when it's clumping. But yeah, I think this road is starting to look pretty good in my opinion. It's still wet underneath, it's still pumping just a bit. So I'm not driving on this until we get, you know, like a week of good long dry weather. But yeah, I got it tracked in with the excavator here. Looks good. What I want to work on now is this little temporary ditch that we put in here just to get the water off of it while we were working on it. I want to come back in here now and actually spend a little time shaping and sculpting this and creating a nice big wide swale ditch. And it's not going to be a very deep ditch, it's going to be fairly shallow. It just needs to be enough to keep the water in it and out around the side. And it's going to be fairly wide too, because I do plan on bringing the tractor off of this road to go brush hog the field or grab logs or head up into the woods. So I want this to be passable this way. So it's going to be just ever so slightly down in, ever so slightly back up. That way it's still passable. All right, swale ditch is done. That Mongo tilt bucket works perfect for doing this kind of stuff. Basically, I just had 1 flat bottom bucket right in the center, 1 going up this way, and then 1 going up this way. And really, it's just the ever so slightest swale that we've got in here, enough to collect the water and pull it, but not enough that it's gonna make getting up and on this road challenging or difficult or any big bumps or anything like that. I still am gonna need just a little bit more either dirt to fill in this section here or some more limestone. This is never gonna get driven on, so it doesn't really matter if we go ahead and cap that off with topsoil or rock. Either way is fine. I have topsoil here. I don't have more rock here, so we may just go with topsoil. But yeah, we've got this shaped going down and around, and then it'll just free flow out into the drying yard here. Now this also gets very wet down here in the wintertime. I may end up taking all of my IBC totes and stacking them along the road here all the way around. That way I can get at them from the gravel and not have to drive the machine down in here in the mud and then track all my mud on top of my limestone that I just spent a pretty penny on. Now I do want to take a minute and address some of the comments from the last video when we got the dump truck stuck in here. I had a couple people leave some nasty comments about me and the way I do things, and oh, this is just another pond saga, right? You know, it's gonna fail, not enough research, you don't know what you're doing, all this kind of stuff. And I get they're keyboard warriors and all that, but they're right. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a guy who used to be an accountant, a certified public accountant out here figuring it out. And I apologize in advance if when I'm making these YouTube videos, I come across as though I know what I'm doing. I don't. Everything that I do out here is self-taught with a little bit of YouTube research and asking some questions to a couple friends of mine. So if you watch these videos and I come across as though I'm somebody that is claiming to be an expert, that is not my intention at all. I'm a guy out here trying to figure it out with the equipment that I have. Another thing that people were saying is, oh, you should have had a roller out here. And again, that would have been another $1,000 or $1,500. I'm just a homeowner out here working on my own property and trying to save money and do things myself where I can. And so, yeah, I'm using the tractor to wheel pack things in and the excavator to track it in with a 13,000 pound mini excavator and trying to get the best compaction that I can without having to go spend a bunch of money. You know, I'm not the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. I don't have all of the proper road building equipment. I don't have road graders and rollers and all of that stuff. I'm just doing the best that I can with the knowledge and skill that I have at the time and the equipment that I have. and I'm making it work. And if it doesn't work and it fails, then I learn something and I get better. The next road that I put in will be better than this one. I can promise you that. Would I have done things differently? Yeah, looking back on it now, rather than trying to source my own material on site here, I would have just paid the extra 500 bucks to get 2 triaxle loads of that number 3 rock to put down as base rock. That would have saved me a whole bunch of headache, because then I would have had a 100% solid road instead of accidentally putting in more clay-like material than shale material. You know, when I started digging into that shale pit, I was just going based off of past experience. I had good luck on my property when we went to go do our driveway project of just digging a big shale pit and finding really good bony, shaly material. And I just kind of assumed that this would have been the same thing. Stripped the topsoil off, started digging shale. The first foot or two was pretty good rocky stuff. And then I just got like tunnel vision on, okay, dig dirt, load in trailer, bring it over here to the road, put it in, spread it out. And I kind of lost focus of looking at the material to making sure that it still met the standards that I needed for a road base. And so again, that's just lack of experience. As you're mining material or sourcing material, you've got to constantly be examining it and making sure that it still holds the properties that you need to put a road in. So another thing that I would have done different, once I started putting that clay in, I realized that clay should have gone down first and then the road fabric on top. But because I thought I was going to get good bony shaly material out, that is why I put the road fabric down first. I thought I was going to have shale, then number 3 rock, and then limestone on top of it, and it turned out that it was mostly all clay. That being said, I still feel like this road is gonna work. Time will tell. I think when we get some good dry weather, if we get like a week where things can really dry out and we can get all of that water to evacuate the base material that we have in the clay underneath here, I think things will firm out. Clay is notorious for getting concrete-like hard when it dries out, and right now it's just wet. I think that's the biggest problem. So I'm hoping that this road is still gonna work. If not, who knows, we may come back in here and try to dig all this material back out and get that back down to a solid base. But I'm not gonna do anything like that yet. I'm not gonna get too crazy. I wanna see what happens when this actually dries out. So anyway, that's the deal with this road. Just figuring it out as I go. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.